today the project that I have ready for you is painting with salt. So it's actually kind of a fun little experiment to see how salt reacts with different things. I'm using a black piece of paper. That way all of the colors really pop out and you can see what I'm doing. You'll need glue and of course salt because we're painting with salt. Now my watercolors
and not the puzzle
look very different from your watercolors because this is a set that I had and these are actually watercolors. So your little box of Crayola watercolors is going to work just fine. And then I have my little cup of water, of course, and I brought a plate out here, that way I can catch the excess salt for when I start adding the salt to the picture. Okay, now also the paintbrush. You're going to want a fairly small brush. Mine actually might be a little too small, but you need a smaller brush because of the way the paint works with the salt, and later on you're going to see why. So I'm going to actually start drawing a picture using my glue. So I'm going to start maybe just making some hills for my grass. And then I'm going to slowly pour my salt. Now I'm pouring my salt directly from the salt container, but you can use whatever you have. I just thought it might be a little easier for me to get it directly where the glue is if I poured it straight from here. So it's pretty much just like you're pouring glitter onto a picture, except it's salt. Now, I'm trying to not use too much because I don't want you guys to be wasting salt. I know it's pretty cheap to buy, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure you don't want to be wasting too much of it. So we're just going to cover as much of the glue as we can, and that's my first part, and then I'm going to just shake off the excess. So fold your paper up and shake it off. And then I think next maybe I'll add a tree. So I'll draw my tree off to the side and get some of the leaves going here. Now you can draw your trees however you like. I'm just drawing some fancy little leaves or not so fancy little leaves. You can add some in the middle to make it look like there are leaves in the middle of your tree. That way when you add your color, or if you're making this a springtime picture, you know, those swirls in the middle could be the blooms for the tree. Or you could make an apple tree and have your apples in the middle, whatever you want to do. We're just doing the same thing, adding the salt and then pouring off the excess. I'm just going to add a couple more little things here. I think I'll add a little sunshine in the corner because we all need some sunshine, don't we? Whoops. Try to make sure that you don't have a string like I just did. Now you'll notice I'm making a little bit of a mess with my salt here. So on your table, if you want to try to put like a paper towel underneath that's big enough, or even a towel that's big enough to go on the outside of your picture, that way when you pour your salt, it's not getting all over your table like it is mine. That way your cleanup is a lot easier. Let's see. I'll add one more thing. I'll add a flower. Okay. And of course your picture can be anything. You can make an ocean scene. You could make a scene at the beach, a scene at the park. You could do your family and friends. Make any kind of picture you want. This is just the easiest thing that I could draw out right now. That way I'm not spending an hour just showing you how to draw a picture. Now, when it comes to adding your paint, you're going to want to make sure that your watercolors are really watercolors. So I'm going to start, I think I'll start with the tree to try to show you. So I'm going to try to make sure that I really get some water in here. I almost should probably pour a little water. It'll be easier for you when your sets. Like I said, these are a little different than the Crayola sets that you guys have. So when you add water to a brush and add water to your paint, you know, you can tell when it starts getting really, really watery. I'm gonna add just a little bit more to my green. Because now, as you start painting, you're not going to actually paint the salt and use brush strokes. You're going to just kind of dot where the salt is. So you're going to get that watery paint on your brush and you're just going to kind of dot. And look at how that color spreads. I'm going to have us zoom in a little bit. As I put on a dot, it doesn't take much and it'll start to spread out. And actually, if you have like 2 different greens, my set actually had 2 different greens, that would have been pretty interesting. So you can just dot and notice. Now this is why I said it's going to be interesting to see what the salt does, because the salt just soaks up all of that color. It soaks it right in. So really, I probably still don't have quite enough water, because if I had even more water on my brush, it would probably soak it up even more. Yeah, there we go. So the more watery you can get your paint, I'm going to even add some more water to my green. You can really see how the salt just soaks it right up, and it's just going to trap. So you can add different colors to your tree. You can blend colors really easily with this. You can do all different kinds of patterns with it if you wanted to. You could probably make some really cool tie-dye patterns the way it blends. Just make sure, like I said, on your paint sets, it's going to be really easy to get that water into your paint. That way when it drips, you can really see it start to spread out. These watercolors are very different from the Crayola ones, but you can see as it spreads. So then when you want to switch colors, especially if you're switching to, say, a different part of your picture, say I want to now change to my sun. I'm going to end up probably getting a little bit of green in mine, just because I'm going to need a lot of water. Maybe if I dip it in my yellow and my water. So now you can see I don't have enough water. How it's gonna soak it up and it spreads out. So maybe that's what I'll do. I'll put some paint on my brush, some water, then you can really see how it starts to spread. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop right there with my picture. So remember, you can make any kind of scene you want. You can do a beach scene, you can do an underwater scene, you can do your family and friends, whatever you want to do. Just make sure that your paint gets super, super wet and watery, because otherwise it's not going to spread out in the salt. You already saw the way my yellow was acting. It wouldn't spread out because I didn't put enough water in it. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoy doing this project.